The Jewish law had 613 commandments at the time of Jesus. And in today's gospel, they're asking Jesus, which one of these 613 was the greatest? In other words, they were sort of putting him on the spot. The story is told us of a woman who died and uh, upon meeting Peter at the pearly gates, was told that she was going to have a choice between heaven and hell. And well, she said, obviously I want heaven. But he said, no, no, you've got to wait and see both and then make a decision, okay? So the devil shows her all over heaven and it's just perfectly beautiful, everything she'd ever wanted, and just loved it. She said, I'll take heaven. No, he said, you haven't seen hell yet. So they go down to hell, and to her great surprise, it's even more beautiful. Everything she could ever possibly want. The best of food, the best of entertainment, everything, the best of friends. And so she goes back to St. Peter and she says, well, I never would have thought it, but I'm going to choose hell, okay? And so Peter says, okay, you've made your choice. And there she goes down to hell, and she runs into Lucifer. And this time, everything is the most putrid, ugly, horrible place you've ever seen in her life. And she goes to Lucifer and she says, I don't understand it. I was just here an hour ago and everything was just the opposite. It was just wonderful. And the devil says, well, dear, I hate to let you know this, but an hour ago, I was campaigning. Campaigning, huh? It's another way of saying that we're living in illusion. We don't really need the full truth. I see there's three kind of false illusionary programs for happiness: and security, control, and esteem. And what each one of us has in common is illusion. It's not that the three are bad in themselves, but it's just that in no way can they be an overall theme for our happiness in life. Security and control and happiness can never sum up who we are while we were created. We only choose them by choosing what we think is the apparent good. It's through our life experiences that we gradually discover the truth behind Jesus' choosing in today's gospel to respond to the question by saying we're called to love God with our whole heart, whole soul, whole mind, and whole strength, and our neighbor as ourselves. But we need to point out something. It doesn't say love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's love your neighbor as yourself, as you, as one. And this sums it all up. It sums what our hearts are longing for, and understanding what love really means. Have you ever heard anyone say that they were given too much love and just couldn't take any more? Love is our origin before we were born. Our deepest desire. It's so much more than just emotions. We choose to love or not. And this can't be seriously said if we really understand that we are called to be vulnerable enough to allow God to first love us so that we can both give and receive love. Since our very being is in existence only because we are always unconditionally loved by God, with every heartbeat, with every eye blink. When Jesus said in today's gospel, you're not far from the reign of God, I think he was saying, by choosing to love, you are now, not just later, living in the reign of God. You just don't know it. Love with all one's heart, all one's soul, all one's mind, all one's understanding. Could this be saying that God is not someone to bargain with? Oh, that's pretty inclusive. But can one look at the crucifix and say, God is sort of putting limits on God's love? Is there not 100% loving there? Can we see anything at all held back? Are we being asked to love with that kind of abandonment? If there's a question that we need to ask the parent who has a very sick child in the hospital, if they're having to give too much of their time. What if taking care of an elderly parent or relative is taxing and very difficult? Are we asked to give more love and not less? I think Catherine of Siena sums it up saying, our neighbor exists so that we might have the opportunity to show our love for God. We don't so much love God directly, we love God indirectly through each other. We are lived into love. And I suggest that we take another opportunity, another approach to challenge us to this kind of total love. How that we sit quietly wherever we are and reflect that what this gospel is saying is that God has fallen absolutely head over heels in love with us forever. Never had a beginning, never had an end. Regardless of how we return this love. That's the hard part. There's no quid pro quo here. No conditions. You keep in mind, we can never earn God's love. We can never merit it, achieve it. We can only receive it and hopefully be grateful and hopefully let it pass through us and flow through us into the lives of others. It is through mutual love that we are being transformed into a new person, from fear to courage, from timidity to risk-taking, from limited love to unlimited love, to a love that is now and never was meant to be just about us and our needs for security, control, and esteem. It's the kind of love that we fall into it. We surrender to this kind of love that is larger than life. So at this point, I ask you, do we choose, through God loving through us, to love in this way? Or is there a need for more campaigning